Hi there, GMC owners. Today in your 2015 GMC Yukon, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install REDARC's Tow-Pro Elite Trailer Brake Controller. To assist us with this installation, we're also going to be using the REDARC plug-and-play cable that is custom fit for our Yukon that will plug directly into the factory connector down below. This is designed for trailers up to 3 axles, so you get more output on this one than you do with like the Tow-Pro Liberty. All right, so we can see here on our adjustment knob, you get between the 0 and the 10, and it lights up red when we've got it at 10 with our manual slide, and as we turn it down, it transitions from a red to a blue, showing less output, with red being the most output and blue being the least. And this is in the regular proportional mode. If you have it where it's blue there, that's the regular proportional mode. To switch it over to the user control mode, which acts more similarly to like a time delay type system, which is great for off-roading, because if you're in a heavily mudded area and you hit the brakes in your vehicle and you start to slide, you're actually not going to be producing much inertia because you're not slowing down much, so you won't get much output from your brake controller. So the user control is nice because in that mode, it's with it just giving you output regardless of inertia. You're going to be able to help slow down your vehicle with the trailer brakes in those really heavy, slidey, muddy conditions. So we're going to go ahead and switch it over to the other mode here just to show you how. So we can see if we press the button, we get output. So I'm going to hold my brakes down. I'm going to double tap the button, and that should change it to our other mode. We need to make sure our knob is all the way at 0 when initiating this, and you also want to make sure that you have a trailer hooked up. And there we go. You can see it's over in the green mode now. The LED is changed to a green, and that is that user control mode. So I'm going to hit the brakes. You can see there's a very subtle delay before it sends it out, and you can vary the amount of output just like you could in the other mode. To get it back into the other mode, you'll once again go to 0, hold the brakes, and give it a double tap, blue being that proportional mode. We'll begin our installation here on the driver's side. This is the driver's side floorboard here. You can see the brake pedal, the parking brake pedal. This is straight up underneath the dash on the driver's side. This box here houses the factory connection where you can plug in a brake controller. If you look on the cover, you'll see it's got the little unlock symbols on it with arrows pointing where the release tabs are for the cover. So just follow those and pop your cover off of here. Pull that down out of the way. The connector for our brake controller will plug in right here below this large connector. There should be a slot there for you to plug it in. Now this connector here that we're going to be using does not come with your REDARC. You get a splice wiring with your brake controller, but you can purchase this here at eTrailer. This has the factory connector on it. It's going to plug right into your Yukon. It's custom fit for it, and it gives you the other end here that plugs directly into your REDARC. So this makes it really easy to install this brake controller since we just got to plug it in. So I'm going to take the square end here, and we're going to plug it into the module. We want the release tab, it looks like, to stick towards the outside on the driver's side. Make sure it's all the way snapped in there. That all looks good. And then if you look at the cover that we removed here, the top of it is open, so there's nothing that seals up the top. So our wiring is just going to end up poking out the top. Now I'm not going to install the cover back just yet, because we're actually going to mount our REDARC module right on this, but we're going to do that over on a workbench to make things easier to work with. So now that we're over here on the bench, our REDARC controller, we're just going to mount right here to the cover. We've got it sitting right here. I'm going to put the 4 flat connector that is on the end of the connector we just installed facing towards the top, so that it'll poke out the top and just plug in. And then our switch connector will be facing down the bottom there. So we're going to mount it just like that, just holding it in place. And you just want to mark your holes here. You can use your drill bit. I'm just going to use my razor knife to put a little score there so I know where to drill. And now we're just going to drill it out. Now we'll just take cable ties here.
We're gonna go in the back side through our module, and we'll come back around, go through the module, and down through the other hole here. And then we can secure it in place here. I'm gonna leave it just a hair loose for the moment, just to make it easier for me to get this side lined up. And then I'll tighten both of those up. And I like to go from the inside out like this, so that way the large head of the cable tie is on the inside. Makes it look nicer. I'll finish snugging them all the way down. There we go. Nice and secure, and then we can just trim off our excess.
So now we can take our connector here and plug it into our module. It's easier to plug it in with the cover off of it here. And then we can actually kind of like hide our wiring back behind the cover here some, and then just reinstall our cover. It does take a little second to get it kind of lined back up. It's kind of tight down in this location, so just take your time, don't force anything. There we go. Once you get it lined up, it should just kind of click. So this is our switch. This is what we're going to be installing next. This is actually how you control the REDARC. The module you can mount pretty much anywhere you want as long as you got it secure, and then we'll remotely install our switch here where we can do all of our interactions with the brake controller. Here's the wire that it comes with. The white end plugs into your switch there, and the black end is going to plug into the module down below. So we need to find a place where we can mount this in a relatively easy to access location and make sure that we have enough clearance behind our paneling here for our switch to stick through, because just the button is going to be what's going to be on this side of the dash. Everything else is going to be behind the dash. So we're thinking about this location here. This panel here right on the side is a fuse box cover. Also, you can see that by the little fuse symbol there at the bottom. So this just pulls off. Start at the bottom by the fuse and just work your way around the side here. And it'll snap right off of there. Now that we got that out of the way, if you feel behind this paneling, you can see that there's plenty of clearance. You can't really see it, but with your hand, you can feel and verify that, hey, there's no obstructions. That is going to be a place where I can put this switch. Now the only concern that I've got here is the length of this cable. So I'm going to feed the cable and plug it into the module first, and then verify the length that I've got up here before I drill any holes to mount my switch. All right, so we verified our distance here. I went ahead and grabbed me a 25/64 drill bit. And that's for our nut here. This nut, the portion where it's threaded there, will actually sit through the dash. The hex head of the nut's going to be flush against the dash there. So this is actually a 10 millimeter in size. The closest you're going to be able to get in a standard size, that's what you're using, is going to be a 3/8 or this 25/64. 3/8 is ever so slightly smaller, and with this being a plastic nut, the extra tension of it being tight in there could potentially damage the nut. So you're usually better off going slightly oversized with that 25/64. So we're just going to find that sweet spot. Looks like it's about right here where we can, our switch will clear. We're also just trying to make it look nice here in this location. All right, so that should work out good there. All right, so once we've got it drilled out, just check your nut, verify that it slides in there, and we can push it back out. That should be good. That 25/64 is about perfect for getting the size you need there. So now we'll take our switch. I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in. And then we can line it up here. Right. Try and get behind it, and
There we go. Now you do have an option, if you wanted to, you can install this sticker over your hole, and the little tab there kind of sticks towards the top. We're gonna go ahead and put it in place. It's not entirely necessary. It's just the main purpose of it is for the LED indicator that comes through here. If we click on it, you'll see a little LED. It helps give a good reflective surface to the surrounding area, so that way it shines through our button well. And this just gives us a good reflective surface behind our button, so that way we can easily see that LED shine. I'm just trying to get the tab at the top there, lining it up around the hole, and then just stick that in place. Now we'll get our button slid back in there, slid out, and then we'll secure it with the nut. And then we'll just tighten our nut on there. And now we're just going to tighten our nut on there. I just use the socket with my hand there to tighten it down. That way I don't risk over tightening it with like a tool, like a ratchet, because it is just a plastic nut. So we got it snug there. And then we're going to insert our button here. I'm going to turn it all the way counterclockwise. So that'll be all the way down. And then I'm going to line the 0 up at the top there. There we go. We got our 0 at the top, 10 when we turn it the other direction. And you want to verify that you can press your button. It actually is your manual override here. So make sure you get that click. If it doesn't click, you might need to tighten your nut down a little bit further because it's not pulled your switch out far enough. Your button would be hitting your dash because the switch isn't pulled out. So make sure you do got it tightened all the way down. It should click like that. I have had a couple of vehicles where the paneling is just a hair too thick, and even if you've got it fully tightened, you can't push your button. In that case, what I've done is, I already got the button on there, but before you slide your button on, taking just a little piece of paper and just kind of balled it up and stuck it in the end there. And that's pushed my button out just a little bit and allowed it to work properly on those other vehicles. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good here. The blue that you see there, where it kind of gives us that single pulse, that is an indication from our REDARC module that it is powered up, but we do not have a trailer hooked up that has any brakes on it. So it knows that we don't have any brakes hooked up or any trailer with brakes hooked up to our thing now. So we're going to grab our test box here that simulates a trailer and verify that it does show us some output there. All right, so we're outside now. I went ahead and just plugged in a trailer tester in the back. That way it simulates a trailer being installed. And we'll now need to program our REDARC. And this is simply done by just driving the vehicle. You just want to drive it in a straight line and then apply the brakes. And it can take up to about 20 stops to get it fully programmed. The reason you need to program it is because this module you can install anywhere on the vehicle in here. And it needs to know the orientation so that way when you hit the brakes, it senses that stopping inertia. So that way it knows how to appropriately apply the proportional output to the trailer's brakes. So after you plug in your trailer, you don't have to, it'll program without a trailer plugged in, but you won't get any feedback. You're just gonna get that blue pulse like we showed you before. So I like to plug a trailer into it. That way I get visual feedback here on my dial. And what it does is it alternates between a blue and a green signal on the LED there. And it will stay in that state of alternating back and forth until it's programmed. As you're completing the programming, the switch will transition from being a longer green on time and a shorter blue on time to eventually being a longer blue until it's completely solid blue, letting you know that it's fully programmed. So we're just gonna continue going in a straight line here. We look like we're pretty close to being programmed. I've just got a very small pulse of green left on my dial. But we are still not quite programmed yet. We'll head back down the aisle. Oh, that looks like that was it right there. It is now no longer flashing green. It turned to solid blue. So that means that it is programmed. Now again, you're only gonna get that feedback if you have a trailer plugged in. If you don't, you're not gonna get that flashing blue to green feedback letting you know
whether or not it's programmed. But yeah, we're all good to go here. So ours is programmed. So at this point, our brake controller is fully functioning. We can go ahead and just kind of verify that. I'm gonna turn the knob up here. So we're just gonna turn it up all the way to 10. The tester is actually sitting in the back seat, and then it's plugged into the connector at the back of the vehicle. But the tester here, you'll hear it produce a noise as the brakes are applied. So I'm just gonna get up to a little bit of speed here. Got it on 10, and we're gonna apply the brakes. And there you can hear the tester box is receiving its output. And that noise gets quieter the less output we have. So if we're at 10 here, I'm gonna turn it down. We're down to about 1 there, and the noise is almost gone. So you can see you get a variable output based on the sensitivity setting, with 0 being no output, 10 being the maximum. And you also have your manual slide. So now I'm not touching the brake in the vehicle. I'm just gonna push in on the button, turn it up. And there you go, you can hear the output coming from the test box when I press the button. Now we don't have any brakes or trailer hooked up, just a test box, so it's not gonna slow our vehicle down. But we can see that that's all functioning the way it's supposed to. If you have it all the way down on 0 and hit the manual slide, you get no output. So you do wanna make sure that you've got it turned up some if you wanna get some output from that manual press of your button there. And that completes our installation of REDARC's Tow-Pro Elite Trailer Brake Controller on our 2015 GMC Yukon.